Welcome to the Rotary Club of Edina, the #1 club in the universe. My name is Michael Stanzak, and I'm humbled and honored to serve as your 67th president. We have a fun and very interesting meeting today with my friend and fellow automobile dealer, Paul Walser, who will speak on current trends in the automobile industry. Bob Stellick, did you know that Paul Walser truly exemplifies the Rotary motto, service above self? He does. He has worked tirelessly for dealers and consumers across the country. I've had the privilege of sitting on numerous boards with Paul over the years. He has a great sense of humor and he's a lot of fun. And he's flown all the way in from Washington, D.C. just to be with us here in Edina to speak to our club today. So let's give him a round of applause. Thank you all for being here, members, guests, and prospective members. We're so glad you're here. And for you Zoomers, for all of you joining us on Zoom, we're so glad you're here. Our first member spotlight is on Susan Stiles, who was recently named a top woman in finance. Now, Susan's been AWOL for a couple weeks. Where is Susan Stiles? Is she there? No. Is she there? No, but there she is. She's been enjoying a wonderful week exploring charming towns outside of Lisbon, Portugal, with her sister and brother-in-law and her wonderful husband, Jeffrey Robbins. And she's back today. Was it a fun trip, Susan?
It was awesome. Yeah.
So glad.
It's a beautiful country. I highly recommend it.
Portugal. Check it out. Speaking of where things are, where is the axe? Does anyone know where the axe is? Well, there's our very own Kelly Burnett, who was a cheerleader for the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and she was out there tailgating before the big game, and she had the axe. But wait, we have some elite gators at their finest: Jerry Norton, Bill McGreevy, and Mark Jessen. Love the hat and the fur. And there is our president-elect, Papa Joe Hayes, at the game, getting ready. But there is the axe. There is the axe with Bill McGreevy at the Twin Cities Dunkers Club, right where it belongs, here in the Twin Cities. Way to go. Speaking of Bill McGreevy, you know, the Thanksgiving weekend kicked off great, and there was a super fun concert put on by Paul Peterson and his band to raise money for the YMCA. Well done. And who's that good-looking guy up there with a mic in his hand? Is it Paul Moody? Oh no, he had the cowbell. That's right, more cowbell. But apparently Bill sang great, and the band was fantastic. Whoops, and there is a picture of Paul and Jennifer Hendrickson and Shelley Loberg, our treasurer, and Lindsay Smaka. Now, the seasons are changing, everyone, as you know, and there is our very own Bjorn Freudenthal with his wife, Handele, at Buck Hill. The cross-country skiing is going to have to wait a little bit, but the downhill was open for 2 runs, right, Bjorn? All right. Rotary in the news. What's been going on with Rotary in the news? Well, you guys might recall Chuck the Puck, a.k.a. Charlie Sprague, a couple weeks ago was in the tournament in Moorhead, Minnesota, and his team won the Blue Ox tournament. But don't think all they do is win trophies, because they teamed up with the Edina Bantam hockey players and the PWC brethren to make 1,000 sandwiches to feed the homeless. Special thanks to Jerry Foods, including CEO Ken Dixon and store manager Steve Kroska, for generously donating over $500 in supplies, and to the sandwich man, Alan Law, and his dedication to feeding the homeless through his 363 food day programs. On the left is Alan Lau with past president Josh Sprague and his youngest son, Nick the Stick. And over there are the teams that are putting it together. Now, speaking of making a difference, for those of you that don't know, last Wednesday, our club gathered with the Morning Club, and we delivered 95 baskets of food to families in and around Edina and Bloomington and Richfield. And there are a couple unsung heroes that I want to bring out. Number one, Tom Reese and his son Eric and Matt Bennis not only donated 90 Cub food boxes, but they assembled 90 Cub food boxes. Way to go, we appreciate it. Mary Husett is a rock star, and once again, for the 22nd year, she put together 90 MapQuest and routes for the teams to deliver the baskets. Tom Cook ran the whole program. He did a fantastic job. Becky Mikowski was back there. I don't know who bought the Costco pies that are about 8 inches in diameter, but somebody had to get 95 Costco pies. It was a great effort. Thank you, Rotarians, for making a difference. Pictured there are Renee Harberts and Tom Cook's daughter. Right there is Scott MacDaddy McDonald loading up his Cub food box with all kinds of canned goods and turkeys and stuff like that. And that's Mark Hegstrom and his family. Mark is a morning Rotarian. And I want to read a note that we received from someone. Thank you so much for the absolutely amazing Thanksgiving food delivery today. I am overwhelmed with gratitude for your generosity. We've had a very hard year, recovering from abuse by the children's father, so having someone deliver this pre-made meal along with hats and mittens means the world to me. I am very grateful. Mother of two. Thank you, Rotarians. Celebrating birthdays this month. Don Hutchinson celebrated yesterday. Joe Christensen's coming up. Rich Kliber, who is here, is on Christmas Eve. Eli Grodendijk. Eli, you're here. Do you have to preach on Christmas Eve, Eli, on your birthday?
I do.
You do? Wow. What a great time to preach on your birthday and Christmas Eve. And then Wade Thoman gets to celebrate on Christmas Day. This next slide is very interesting, Susan, because it talks about all the December Rotary anniversaries. Look at them. It's amazing. Bert Cohen, 40 years. Bill Minolta, 30 years. John Allen, 28. Gordy Lewis, who went to school with Jack Walser, Paul's father, 39 years. John Flynn, 31 years. Jennifer Hendrickson, 3. Stefan Smith, 3. Caleb Beeler, 9. Raj Kumar, 5. Lisa Walker, 5. Dr. Bradley Pearson, 23. Charles Agan, 24. Mike Norman, 32. Wade Thoman, 15. Rich Kleber, who's right over there, 26. Les Waniger, 32. Chris Mazer, 9. Reverend Arthur Rounder, 56 years as a Rotarian. Bob Stellick, who was here, 38 years. Tim Murphy, who's here, 25 years. Axel Sturer, 17 years. So what does this mean? This means that people see a lot of value in giving to Rotary. And we so appreciate, Brad, what you've done for our club and how you've been here and been a member for that many years. But the other part of it, Hannelore, is people see value in belonging because they know that we do things and we can make a difference. So thank you. Enjoy your Rotary anniversaries. It takes a village to put on a Rotary meeting. Helping out today were greeters Luther Robinson and Charlie McGoldrick. Ann Platt and Becky Mikowski at the front desk. Jeff O will lead us in a short invocation, Pledge of Allegiance, and four-way test. Doug Johnson will be introducing our speakers. Doug Johnson will be introducing our guests and visiting Rotarians. Bob Solheim will be introducing the speaker. Jennifer Hendrickson will be thanking the speaker, and Fred Sylvester will be taking pictures to put on social media. Please rise if you're able for the invocation, Pledge Allegiance, and four-way test.
Please join me in prayer. Dear God, we appreciate how blessed we truly are, with more than simply the necessities of life, with prosperity, with family, and with friendship. As we enjoy the support within the family of Rotary, help us to reach out to those families less fortunate within our community and around the world. As we appreciate our health, give us the means through our work with our own Edina Rotary Foundation and the Rotary Foundation to help cure the ills of the world. And soon, we will rejoice when polio will be eliminated from the face of the earth. As we enjoy this meal together, inspire us to work to rid the world of hunger and to help bring the world clean, drinkable water. And as we consider your teachings, inspire us to serve you so that there may truly be peace and understanding throughout our world. Amen.
Amen.
The pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the four-way tests of the things we think, say, and do. First,
Is it true? Is is fair to all concerned, will build goodwill and better friendships, will be beneficial to all concerned.
Clearly a great-looking group today from this vantage point. Looks wonderful. We have some guests today. We'll call on David Kleins. Please introduce your guest, David.
I'm very proud today to introduce my friend Tom Weiler, retired commander in the U.S. Navy. He's from Eden Prairie. He's back here in sunny Minnesota, and he's going to run for U.S. Congress for the Republican endorsement, which will be in April. And I thought it was very important. I wanted him to meet all of my friends here in Rotary, and he's a super guy.
Thank you. Great to meet you.
Welcome, Tom. Our great city manager, Mr. Neal, has a guest.
You almost forgot my name.
Yeah, what's your name?
Yeah. I want to introduce our new finance director. Her name is Alicia Mcandrews. She joined us in August.
Welcome. From the land of Finland, Bjorn, you have a guest.
I do indeed. I want to introduce Ali Bourne. She is our newest rising star with New Spaces. She is our lead designer. She just joined our team.
Great, thank you. I know he's here somewhere. Mike Hagan, you have a guest. Mike, where are you? There you are.
Daughter Amy with me today.
Great, thank you. And did I miss anybody or any visiting Rotarians today? Otherwise, that's it. All right.
I hope after all these years you all know what these bells mean. It's that time of year for our giving. I was reading in the paper, maybe you all did too, that more families are more in need this year. This has been a tough year for all of us, and especially for needy families. In my St. Louis Park paper, also there was an article that says true happiness starts with helping others, which we as Rotarians know. So we've got not much time. We have the next 3 weeks, only the next meeting for you to bring toys, to bring gift cards, to bring cash. You'll be able to donate on the website and through the next Barker through credit card. So this year we're giving to 66 West, to the youth that have just recently come off the streets, homeless youth, to Cornerstone, to needy families. And then we're adding the Afghan tots. So some of you were here during our Veterans Day celebration, and the Afghan translators were here. So we have agreed to donate. I'd like to get 2 big black bags of toys to give to them, and they'll pick them up at our party. So ho, 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 and get ready to give. Thank you.
When Jean asked me to do this, I am replacing Tom, who did it for years. You may remember he had the big ball on his nose. So, and just to let you know, the goal here is to raise money, and she also nailed me because evidently I've been known for asking for money. So please help her. If you didn't empty your wallet or your purse when you came in, please do it as you go in. Otherwise, you can do it online, or you can do a check, or however you'd like to do it. And most of you may know that she dressed me, and I'm not dressed as good as she is, but we had the signs on the wrong way, and now I told her we were going to put them the right way now. So this is the truth. So thank you for your generosity.
Thank you, Gene. Thank you, Tim. Please bring toys, bring money. Again, we will be here next week, Sutton. And then the 16th, we have a big party we're going to hear about in a second. But rumor has it, Paul, are there still tickets available if somebody wanted to go on the 13th?
Yes.
Yes.
We'd love to have you.
Okay. It's great fun. It's a Christmas family tradition. The Peterson family was a jam before Christmas. I don't know who that funny-looking guy is down there in the lower left, but He certainly isn't the cool guy that I saw at the Dakota last week. But anyway. That's his younger brother. That's his younger brother, okay. So speaking about music, we have an announcement about something fun that's coming up. Susan.
Hey. I need those bells. I need more cowbell. Everybody ready for a party? It's been a year, but the holiday party is back. Here are the details. A lot of it's up here. It will be Thursday, December 16th, right here at the Edina Country Club, 5:30. Holiday cocktail party. We'll have appetizers, cash bar. And speaking of great music that the Petersons will be doing at the 'Twas the Jam Before Christmas, Linda Peterson will be here performing that night. The cost is $20 for guests. Senior actives and honorary Rotarians, you can pay by check, cash, credit card, or at the door. Or you could be billed on your next invoice. And please register to attend. That helps us get our numbers so that we can let the wonderful staff here at Edina Country Club know how many of y'all are coming. And you can register online or through the Barker. I think there was a link in there. Valet will be available. Jean, will you still be collecting that night for toys? Yeah. Okay, we'll be collecting toys. And that'll be the final evening to get those in. So hope to see you all there.
All right.
Hi everybody. Isn't Christmas just such a fun time of the year? It's just so good. There's so much going on, and I want to tell you about our leadership series next week. How many of you are up in the morning before 7 a.m.? Raise your hand. Okay. How about it before 8 a.m.? Okay, even more. So at 7:45 every second Wednesday of the month, we meet over at Fred Sylvester's Think Bank over here, just right in Edina, and we have a leadership series event that's wonderful. We have great speakers. It's a group of folks where there's some interaction and some learning occurring. This month we've got Joel Swanson. He's just a brilliant guy. He's an EOS implementer for some of you who might know what traction or EOS is. And he's going to talk to us about problem solving for normal people without fancy MBAs. So that's pretty much everybody in this room, right? Or at least me. So please come and join us. And if you haven't come and check us out for the first time. Bring your team, bring your staff. We'd love to bless you. Okay? Thanks. Yep.
Hi everyone. I have the pleasure of inducting Kirsten to our club today. And so Jennifer Hendrickson, I myself, as a member of our club here at the Edina Rotary, and on behalf of our entire membership, we'd like to welcome you as a new member. Please join us in our friendship, as greatly shown today, all of our friendship, and in the passion that we hold for the projects that we do to make our community and the world a better place to live. Rotary is an organization of business and professional people who desire to hold up a high professional standards in their vocations. And I told her I was going to make her say her law firm as an employee of
Baker Vecchiolo.
Vecchiolo. I was like, I'm going to butcher that. Your classification will be law. Please get involved by joining one of our many committees. By doing this, you will get to know our membership, and you'll find the true value in our Rotary's motto of service above self. So we will get you a pin and a packet before you leave today. It's underneath? All right. Oh, look at that!
Perfect.
I get to present you with your pin. All right. So we will see if I can work this, guys.
I was gonna say, I don't know if I have the right thing on.
No. Okay. We'll let you pin yourself.
Perfect.
But I encourage you to go through this, and as our members, I'd encourage you to reach out to Kirsten, have lunch with her. She's a pleasure to get to know. I'll hand it over.
Well, I promise to keep this short and sweet. Oops. Wrong way. So not only is the name of my law firm a mouthful, but also my last name. My name is Kirsten Huppenbecker. I am an estate planning attorney at Baker Vecchiolo Law. It's located in Edina, actually in the Edinburgh building. So some of you also might be working in that building as well. I've been practicing for about 5 years I started off doing some litigation and quickly learned that was not for me at all. I do love the estate planning aspect of my job. I'm probably not doing my extended family a service by including them at all in this presentation, but I'll keep it simple. My husband, Tom, he works for a construction company also located in Edina, and then we have 2 cats, Blanche and Mickey. So yes, I am a crazy cat lady as well. And as you will see, one of my cats does not have hair. She's my pride and joy.
That's Blanche, right?
Yep, Blanche is the one without hair. From the Golden Girls is the inspiration. So hometown, I'm from St. Cloud, and that's actually where I practiced before I moved to the area and joined Baker Vecchiolo in May. I graduated from Gustavus Adolphus College. I'm a proud Gustie. I'm sure there's some Gusties around here as well, with degrees in Scandinavian Studies and Psychology. So it's probably no surprise that I had to go on to some additional schooling, because unfortunately Scandinavian Studies just doesn't land you a job immediately afterwards. So I did graduate from Mitchell Hamlin School of Law in St. Paul, living in southwest Minneapolis, right on the border of Edina, Bloomington, and Richfield. Some of my volunteer work, I'm a board member on the nonprofit Light the Legacy, which focuses on individuals taking the time to have a healthcare directive prepared and really planning for their end-of-life planning. It's focused in St. Cloud. And then I'm also a volunteer with the Women's Fund, which is a subgroup of the Central Minnesota Community Foundation. So I've had an opportunity when I worked in St. Cloud to really get involved in that community, which is really what brought me here to the Edina Rotary. I want to get to know this community and be actively involved in this community as well. And then when I'm not at work or spending time with my family, I do enjoy golfing, biking, reading, and trying out new restaurants. It's pretty much me in a nutshell. Thanks for having me.
Congratulations, we are so lucky and blessed to have you. We're so glad you chose to join our club. Robert J Solheim is the son of Norwegian immigrants. He graduated from Washburn High School. He spent 3.5 years in the Army Reserves. He also graduated from the University of Minnesota, the Minnesota School of Business, Northern Technical School of Business. He's a registered court reporter for district and state courts. He's owner of a reporting agency. He was executive director of the Minnesota Reporters Association. He was director of the Northern Technical School of Business. He was a district manager for Northwestern National Life Insurance Company. He was co-founder of National Structured Settlement Company. He was co-founder of National Structured Settlement Trade Association. He was the president of Solheim Annuity Advisors. He was the founder of Employment Service Business, but perhaps one of the things that most people know him for is the fact that he co-founded N.C. Little Memorial Hospice, the state's first 8-bed residential hospice in 1996. They have cared for over 5,300 patients and their families. It's not for profit, and there he is, the co-director and chaplain. He serves on several boards, including the Southdale YMCA, the Edina Rotary Club Foundation. He's past president of our club. He's past chairman of the Board of Trustees of Fairview Southdale Hospital. He's past board member of Minnesota Hospice and Palliative Care Organization. He's a member of Torskekluben, Sons of Norway, and numerous church boards. He's married to Rotarian Patty Ellington. They have 5 adult children and 5 grandchildren. He lives in Edina. His past hobbies include motorcycling, tennis, rollerblading around Lake Harriet, and together with Patty, conducting Bible studies in our home and at Friendship Village. Little known fact, he loves driving Cadillacs from Key Cadillac, except when he got a Sequoia from Walser Toyota. Please welcome my dear friend and fellow Rotarian, Bob Solheim.
I'm reminded of how I couldn't hold a job. It's my honor today to introduce to you our speaker, Paul Walser. Paul is a second-generation auto dealer, and he's a partner with his brother Andrew in Walser Automotive Group in Edina. He started selling new cars at Towns Edge Ford in 1974. joining immediately after earning a bachelor's degree in business from Drake University. Paul is the 2021 chairman of NADA, National Automobile Dealers Association, and has represented Minnesota's franchise new car dealers on the board of directors since 2014. He has served on many key NADA committees, including legislative, public affairs, and industry relations. He's a former president of both the Greater Metro Auto Dealers Association of Minnesota and the Minnesota Automobile Dealers Association. Walser Automotive employs around 2,000 men and women and currently has 32 locations with 25 distinct separate franchises. The Walser Automotive Group has operated under a one-price philosophy since 2001 and disbanded traditional finance and insurance offices in 2010. Paul's work in the Walser Foundation has a special place in his heart. Very generous man. The foundation provides cash grants to organizations that strengthen communities through support of women, children, and families. His topic today is current trends in the auto industry. Please join me in welcoming Paul Walser to the podium.
Bob was a hero to me many, many years ago when my mother passed in 2004. We were chatting briefly about that when I arrived here a little bit ago. She has, I think, maybe the record stay at Enschede, several months actually. She thought she was going to pass, and she, being the stubborn German that she was, just hung in there. And anyway, it was an amazing experience. I'm still grateful, Bob, and we miss her dearly. I'm really impressed with the energy of this club, by the way. Just the kind of the stuff going on. I mean, I was a Bloomington Rotarian many years ago and was briefly in this club, but really appreciate all that you do. And this place clearly has a vibrant membership, so it's a privilege to be here. Our industry attracts unique characters. I don't need to mention names. I think that many of you are familiar with some of our contemporaries from days gone by. And I think it's fair to say that we have earned our reputation, which is somewhere down below, well, pretty much everything in a lot of respects. But I would also be remiss if I didn't say to you that if every dealer in this country was like Michael Stanzik, we wouldn't have that reputation. I have known Michael's father, and I have known Michael for many, many years, and this is the epitome of quality when it comes to our industry. People that run a good shop, that are honorable and do what they do and say, follow through with what they say, run their businesses with class, don't turn their people over, honest advertising and integrity, and they're there year after year after year. And Michael is involved, obviously, as you guys know, more than just in Rotary. He's been a very active member of our state association, and I'm just proud to call him a friend. And anytime Michael says, come and talk, I'm going to be there. So you're awesome, Michael. Thank you for all you do. I don't know how much time I'm supposed to set aside for questions. Do you want me just to blab for 25 minutes, or what do you want to? 20 minutes. 20 minutes or so? Okay. 5 minutes of questions. So why don't I do this? Let's talk a little bit about sort of some of the history of our industry, some of the challenges we've faced over time. Talk a little bit about what's going on today, and then I'll give you my very uneducated view about tomorrow, and then we'll open it up for some questions. Does that work? Is that good for everybody? Okay. One of my favorite stories is how I first got started in this business. My grandfather worked for General Motors, and my dad was an Oldsmobile dealer to start off with, and ultimately transitioned to Ford. And so we had, when I grew up, Towns Edge Ford, which was located in Hopkins, Minnesota, where our Chrysler operation is today. So when I was 17, I went to work there as a lot attendant. And on the very first day that I started, I went in, and in those days, dealerships almost all had these little tiny buildings that were plunked right in the middle of the used car lot. And that was so that the minute a customer drove in, we could pounce on them immediately and make sure they didn't have a time to leave before we had a chance to persuade them to buy a used car. So these were almost like shacks. They were clearly suggesting that used car customers were not as important as the new car ones. But anyway, so I'm working the lot, and I think it's right around noon, and I got to go to the shack to get some keys for a car to move. And so I wander in there, and there is a salesperson inside, and he is sitting at his desk with his feet up on the desk, and he's eating a hot dog, and he is watching a projected film on the wall across from him, and this film was not something you would show to your children. So I'm kind of taken back, of course, by this, and I wander back out to the lot, and I'm spending the rest of my day debating whether or not I should tell my father about this little incident. Because I didn't want to be sort of the new guy that's the snitch, but at the same time, I was like, if my dad found out this was going on and I knew about it and I didn't tell him, I'm really in trouble. So I was nervous. I got through dinner. I sat down with my dad, and I said, Dad, I got something I got to tell you. And he goes, well, what is it? And I go, well, you know, one of the guys was sitting at his desk with his feet up on it, eating a hot dog, and he was watching, you know, kind of a dirty movie on the wall. And my dad was just irate. He was bright red. He's like, what? He said, who was that? And I said, well, it was Frank. And he goes, yeah, Frank's our top salesperson. Let it go. So, thus was the car business back in 1972. Hopefully Adam didn't think like that, Michael. Anyway, since that time, our industry has had its share of ups and downs. I think that, like a lot of business people in this room, I'm sure, and we have good times and we have bad times, and that's what entrepreneurs sign up for when they get into the business. Ours is maybe somewhat unique because of the cost of the products that we're selling and the relatively tight margins that we work with. And we really, as the economy goes up and down, we really are affected probably in a more material way than perhaps others. And so over the years, we faced lots of interesting things. Obviously today, you're aware of the chip shortage, no doubt, that's providing a lack of inventory, if you will, on both new and used cars. We're challenged with the pandemic and mandates and all the same stuff you guys are dealing with. And over the years, I can remember some incidents that we thought were going to be kind of our death pill. When we were a relatively small organization, now referring just to Walser, we were part of an eminent domain proceeding in Richfield that ultimately displaced a very good store for us in favor of the Best Buy headquarters. That was a difficult time for our family. And even before that, well, actually subsequent to that, we went through the 08-09 period. We had General Motors and Chrysler going through bankruptcy. That was a lot of fun because they decided through that process that they were going to eliminate a number of the dealers that they had. And so we had our Buick and GMC truck store in Bloomington was identified as a store that they wanted to consolidate. Yeah, and that was hard. But we got our Senator, Amy Klobuchar, involved. She actually helped save that store for us and other stores in the Twin Cities. And we were obviously very appreciative of that. Long before that, some of you may remember back in the late 70s, the interest rate environment at about 20%. And you can apply those percentages to the cost of carrying all this inventory that we have and what that does to a dealer's financial statement. And at the time, Walser Automotive Group consisted of 2 stores. We had what was then, I think, Walser Ford then by that point, and it moved out on Highway 100 where the LA Fitness is now in St. Louis Park, and then the Buick store that I referred to out in Bloomington, Richfield. And I was the used car manager, which I wasn't qualified to be, but you know, dads have a way of promoting their children faster than they ought to be. So I've got that job, and I'm sitting there at this Ford store in St. Louis Park, and in those days we had what was called recourse financing. Michael's nodding, he remembers this. Today, if you come in and you buy a car and we set you up for financing, and if you don't make your payments, the bank takes the car back and it's their problem. Back in those days, the car came back, but it landed on the dealership's lots, and we owned it for what the payoff balance was. And so that, if they came in, you know, during a bad time in large numbers, this got to be a fairly serious problem. So I'm the used car manager, and I hardly know what a used Pinto is worth, much less some of the stuff that's coming in on the hook every day that's been repossessed. Example being heavy-duty trucks with cement mixers on the back. And I'm sitting there and I'm calling my dad, and I go, Dad, I don't have any idea what to do with this stuff, because he was briefly in this Super Duty truck business but had gotten out of it, but now in this time period this stuff's coming back in on the lot, and I mean, I don't know what to do with this. And I mean, we're losing a lot of money. And so he and I used to get together after work at 9 o'clock, and we'd meet at the King's Inn Supper Club. You guys remember where the King's Inn was? So that was what he considered to be sort of a midway point, which really wasn't, because it was about 2 blocks from where I was working. But we'd go up there at 9 o'clock, and I'd have a beer, and my dad would have a martini, and we'd discuss the day's business. So one day he calls me up, and I show up, and he's sitting there, and at our little table is 2 martinis. And I'm like, Dad, what's going on? And he goes, you're going to need a martini tonight. And I said, okay. So I sat down, I go, what's going on? He goes, we're done. We're out of money. We've burned through the cash, and I can't continue on, and we're going to have to close shop. Now, I'm 24 at this point, and that's shocking news, obviously, and disturbing, but my dad, who was well into his 50s, I'm sure was looking at this with a very different perspective. And those are the kind of moments that really impact you as you struggle through business, and those that are critical of the successes that business people have aren't always aware of some of the things that maybe most of us have gone through before we arrive. And so I can still see my dad's eyes that day many years ago, and I'm sure if I wandered around this room there would be a lot of other stories that would be very similar of hardships and difficulties that you face, but you persevere, you move on, and eventually things work out. Today, our businesses once again got some unique challenges. As most of you know, unless you've been living in a cave, there's this idea of electric cars coming around. And the challenge that we have as an industry is the fact that this journey to electric cars is being conflated with a direct sales model. Meaning that the manufacturer, rather than going through dealers, which Michael and I think is a swell idea, they're going directly to consumers. And this started with Tesla roughly in 2014. And today we have some Tesla wannabes coming on board. We have a new company called Rivian, who you probably read about their stock recently. Right behind it is another one called Lucid. And then on and on and on the list goes. There's probably close to 25 of these electric product companies that are coming online and hoping to experience the same kind of economic success that Tesla has had. So as a national trade association, we are in the fight of our lives, if you will, trying to protect the dealer franchise system. There are currently 17 states in the United States that do not allow for direct sales, but there are easy ways around that. You sell them at the state next door and simply move them in. And we're doing the best we can to resist this. But at the end of the day, if this turns out to be a superior model, I think it is going to go where the consumers want it to go. So we're gonna fight the good fight, but it's a challenge. But I would tell you at the same time is that I believe in all my heart, and I think Michael would say the same thing, that the dealer model is a superior model to the direct model. we have 16,500 dealerships in this country and over 1 million employees. And these people are educated and know how to help and customers understand the purchases they're making. And as they transition from ICE vehicles to electric vehicles, there's a lot of things to this journey. And I believe that we play an important role in accomplishing that. We also take in trades, we set up financing, we provide service, especially recalls, and we create competition amongst ourselves. Michael is not the only Cadillac dealer in this town. There are other choices. So he has to win your support by being the better Cadillac dealer. And that competition is good. It's healthy and it's good for the industry. And so in the absence of that, manufacturers selling direct, there isn't competition other than themselves in terms of within that brand. And so you're going to pay what they tell you you're going to pay. And there's not going to be people competing for your service business, and on and on and on it goes. So I'm of the view that this isn't necessarily a great idea. And I had a conversation, I think, with one of you a little bit before the meeting today. What people are noticing is that Tesla is now buying facilities all over this country. The original model was, this is all going to be digital. There isn't going to be a need for physical dealerships anymore. And that couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, Tesla ended up buying a facility from us over in White Bear Lake. They're now bought a facility from the McCarthy family up in Rogers. And there is going to be 2 Tesla dealerships located in this town. And this is happening all over the country because they've come to understand that that physical plant is important and it needs to be there. So the fight will continue. We'll make our case. And I believe at the end of the day, consumers are going to say car dealerships are still a good idea. We got to get better at what we're doing, but they're still a good idea. Another one of the challenges that's a little related to that is what we are calling kind of a movement towards an agency model. So this is now with the current legacy manufacturers that we have that are trying new approaches to sell cars. And this is happening mostly over in Europe. And so this agency model is a model where the manufacturer owns the cars. They directly deal with consumers. They determine the pricing and they provide funding for brand-specific facility initiatives. And the dealer or agent is simply paid a commission. This started, I believe, initially in Sweden. It is in Austria. It is in South Africa. And most recently, all the 98 Mercedes dealers in Germany have gone to this model. And so we're going to be watching this very closely. There are elements to this that eliminate certain friction points that are traditional in our business, like who owns the data and how is the pricing set and so on and so forth. But there are challenges as well. In this country, currently, the franchise laws would prohibit this model. So in order for that to happen here, you'd have to redo 50 states worth of franchise laws. And, but we're going to keep an eye on it because there may be elements to this that are good that we should learn from. And we'll see how that moves as we go forward. Another thing that's happening right now is huge consolidation. More consolidation in 2021 than in any year by far. And this isn't simply big companies coming in and scooping up a single location anymore. They're now coming in and buying organizations that have 30 or 40 or 50 rooftops. And so there's massive consolidation going on. In 2010, of the 16,500 dealers in this country, there were 9,000 single point operators, which is someone that is focused exclusively at a location, like Michael and his dad before him. And in 2020, there were 7,000. So that number is shrinking rapidly as this industry consolidates. And there are challenging aspects of that, frankly, to us as a national trade association, because the very best dealers we have that are engaged, like Michael is, not only in their communities and in their state associations, but are connected to legislators as we need to influence legislation that may be harmful to our industry. And so those boots on the ground are important to us, and we're losing the boots. Because the large public companies like Lithia and AutoNation and these, they don't participate in that kind of activity. And so that really eliminates a lot of the key contacts that we have that are critical as we try to preserve our business as we move forward. I mentioned earlier the chip shortage. This is a major problem for us right now. There is lots and lots of dealerships that you could drive to and literally see 0 new cars on the lot. And the used cars are challenging as well because you don't have the trade flow that you normally would have from the new cars. And so a lot of the dealers are forced to go out and buy used cars, and you can imagine what pricing is on auction when you're buying vehicles when people desperately need products to sell. So it's a temporary condition. Everybody's surviving, but this is just another challenge that we need to figure out how to navigate. From what I'm hearing from the manufacturers, this is probably going to be a condition that will exist through much of next year, and then by the time we get to 2023, we should return to normal. They believe the worst is behind us and they're starting to ramp up production, but even if they had full capacity tomorrow, it's 6 to 12 months of lag time because the demand is that much greater than the supply has been, so it's going to take a while to catch up. Related to that, a big issue that dealers are facing, and I don't know if this is one that you're struggling with, Michael, but most dealers around the country are on LIFO accounting. So this is a method where your last product that came in is the first one that's sold, and in an inflationary economy, as vehicles get more expensive, it temporarily reduces your tax obligation because your margins are smaller, but you build up over time this large LIFO reserve on your books. Well, when you don't have any inventory, all of that LIFO reserve comes to be taxed. And so this year, at the end of the year, if a dealer doesn't have any inventory in stock, and they've been in business for 15 or 20 years, or worse yet, generationally for 30 or 40, they may have millions of LIFO reserves on their books, all of which comes in and is subject to tax this year. So if you're a smaller dealer and you don't get favorable allocations of product from the manufacturer right now, you got the hit of not having much to sell and then the hit of all this tax obligation on top of it. So as an NADA, our trade association, we are working to provide relief in this space, and this is done through the Treasury Department. They have the authority under certain conditions to provide temporary relief. What we're asking for is not permanent, but rather a delay of 3 years so we can get through this cycle and dealers can return to normal. So Treasury has not yet given us a favorable ruling on this. So most recently we were involved in getting our legislators to sign a letter to go to Treasury encouraging support. I can tell you that I'm proud that 9 of the 10 legislators in Minnesota signed on to that letter. There was a lot of work to get that done, but they did, and that's very, very helpful. So we'll see if we can get a little relief as we move forward. How am I doing on time?
About 3 more minutes.
Oh, goodness. Okay, and we haven't even talked about the future yet. You got to leave used car salesmen a lot more time when you have them come to visit. Okay, so the whole EV journey, this is something that dealers embrace. The Teslas, Rivians, Lucids, these guys are kind of advancing a narrative that dealers don't want to sell EVs because we really haven't. But the reason we haven't is we really haven't had products to sell. Tesla has sold lots of cars to a very narrow slice of the population. These are well-to-do people who already have a couple of cars in their garage and they can wait 90 days for a new one. And this is more of a toy and something fun as opposed to someone that needs a car and needs to buy one right away. So as we go into the mainstream, this game changes. And we believe that it's going to be exciting because we love new products, new things to sell. But this is wrought with challenges. We have issues with the grid, we have issues with charging stations, we have issues with cost, we have geopolitical issues, which is, where do we mine these minerals from that make these batteries? The worst of which is better than half of the world's supply of cobalt comes from Congo, where child labor is used to mine this stuff. I mean, there's all kinds of things we have to solve. But it's fixable and it's solvable and we'll get there. Whether we can hit Biden's 50% by 2030 is a whole other question. But the OEMs are investing big in this. Cadillac is all in by 2025, I think, aren't they, Michael? 2030? Okay, and so, I mean, these are ambitious schedules, and obviously in Minnesota, it's colder here. And so these electric products have a little bit more difficulty in this market. So it's going to be fun, and we'll see how this all plays out. Consolidation will continue. The interesting thing about this is it isn't consolidation like you've seen with other industries. Michael Stanczyk buys his cars every bit as cheap as AutoNation does, the largest dealer group in the country. So there isn't an advantage in terms of cost of product. And Michael pays his employees just like AutoNation pays their employees. And so those costs aren't any different. And the three biggest costs dealers have are inventory and people, and then some kind of combination of marketing and technology. That's the space where there may be some advantages for the larger players, but we'll see how this plays out over time. And but you know, there's lots of money out there right now, and these big guys want to get bigger. So we'll just see where this goes, but we're going to keep an eye on it. Finally, let me conclude as far as the future of dealers go. My message to the industry this year is, you know, dealers are relevant, dealers are important, but dealers need to improve. We cannot sit still. We can't have it take 4 hours to buy a car from our stores. We need to eliminate some of the pain points. Negotiations is obviously one of them. We got rid of the traditional finance office years ago to expedite that process, so we've got 20 cashiers in a store instead of 2, kind of a thing. So we have to keep working at how we can make it faster, more transparent, and give consumers control in the process. And there's a lot of dealers that are working on this stuff, and so we're going to get better, but we need to make sure that we're all in and investing in our future if we really want to survive on well into the future. So anyway, hopefully that's, am I about kind of there? I'm just done. Anyway, thank you for your time. I hope this was of interest to you. Appreciate it. What's that? Oh, yeah, anybody have any? Yeah, yes, I see, please.
First of all, it's good to hear that Michael has a friend. My question is about one thing you didn't mention in terms of a threat is Carvana and the online used car business. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. If you are subscribers to the Wall Street Journal, you might hear my opinion on this in the paper. We met with them yesterday in Detroit, or 2 days ago. I'm all for the improvements in the whole process to the extent that that's happening. And CarMax has done some really bold things and good things there. I'm going to go on record and tell you that I think the Carvana thing is a house of cards. There really isn't any material advantage. They're selling their products for more than dealers are selling them for currently. And they haven't really generated a whole lot of profit yet. This has been a good year for used cars, and so they've gotten a little bit of a bump. But if you're looking for investment opportunities, my advice is to look elsewhere. Please.
I'm just wondering, for the electronic cars that are coming into play, how come they don't want to partner with dealerships? I mean, I feel like that would be a really strong partnerships. Like why, I mean, and for the, to your point, the everyday user, I mean, like, we know Michael or someone knows you, Paul, and so we trust you. So like, why wouldn't they want to do that versus just?
Well, one thing I can tell you with absolute certainty is that Minnesota dealers are at a different level than our dealers from across the country. We did things years ago, and credit Jim Lupian for this, where we had created an advertising standards committee monitored through the Better Business Bureau that forced everybody to be above board and honest in their advertising. If you go to some of the states around this country like Florida, it's crazy. I mean, they're advertising things that are just not true. And so there are behavioral components that I'm sure that the Teslas of the world go, I don't think I want to be part of sort of that. So we owe some of this is on us. But also remember that there is so much money flowing into these businesses right now that they're looking for controlling every aspect of this that they can because they can afford to. I mean, Tesla's worth more than any other manufacturer right now, and so they've got a lot of money to work with. So we'll see. I think this will change, but for now, that's what we're stuck with. I think I'm about to get the hook.
You are, but if you'll stay up here for a minute,
Yes.
This is for you. I'll take the microphone. I'm going to have a little bit of...
Yeah, okay, sorry.
No, you're fine. People usually run away when one of us comes up here,
Yeah.
so...
So Rotary is a global network of 1.2 million neighbors, friends, leaders, and problem solvers who see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change, as you know from your service in Rotary. So from across the globe in our communities and ourselves, from the literacy and peace to water and health, Rotarians are always working to better our world. And we stay committed to the end. In honor of your presentation today, we will make a donation to My Very Own Bed, a local nonprofit that provides new beds to children who are moving into stable housing. With My Very Own Bed, they give them a new bed, set of sheets, a blanket, pillow, a mattress pad, and a stuffed animal and a book, so that the children who otherwise would go without do not. So,
That's wonderful.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody.
What a great talk, Paul. It was fantastic. Everybody in the room's got something to do with a car, and they were so interested in what you had to say. Again, it's hard for us sitting in the room to appreciate all that you do being the chairman of the National Auto Dealer Association. You know, I mean, when Joe Biden calls, you probably take the call. I don't know. Or...
No, I hang up on him.
Oh, you hang up on him. Okay. Paul is incredibly humble. He is a really big deal, and he's done so much to help so many people, and he takes little or no credit for it. Looking forward to infinity and beyond next Wednesday. Think about coming to the leadership series. I don't know if you have problems in your life or your business. I do. I mean, I could get some help. But anyway, it's really fun, and they have good things to eat. Next Thursday, our very own Paul Moody is going to tell the Faribault Will and Mills story. All right, Paul, we're excited. Yeah. Then Monday the 13th is the Peterson family at the Dakota. 'Twas a jam before Christmas. What fun that will be. Then the 16th, which is 2 weeks from today, we don't have a noon meeting, but we have our party. Who doesn't like a party? Let's come and let's celebrate. Let's be together. I mean, we've shown up for meetings. We've done service work, Sue. It's time to celebrate and enjoy each other's company, okay? Then we don't have a meeting on the 23rd. We don't have a meeting on the 30th. We do have something which happens on January 5th. Our very own Kayla Beeler will be speaking at the Vocational Happy Hour at CW's. And she has a new job where she's the marketing representative for Caldwell Burnett Banker for Minnesota and Wisconsin. So it's great fun. There were 20 of us there last night here in Bocar. And then we start up again the new year on January 6th with Isaac Orr, who's going to talk about energy choices and policy. So the next slide you're going to see, you might say, why did you put that up, Doug? Well, let me tell you why I put it up. Because Paul is a great example of how much people care, and dealers and the NADA Foundation really cares. So it says, the purpose of human life is to serve and to show compassion and the will to help others. Meeting adjourned.